Okay, I think we'll make a start. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our distributed generation low voltage update workshop. Move on to the agenda slide. Just some quick sort of housekeeping before we go through the presentation. The session is recorded. We are hoping to do some interactive bits in the second half of the session, but those bits won't be recorded. We're looking for some feedback from you. If you do have a question at any point during the session, please just raise your hand, or and we will come round to you at the points where we break for any questions. Or alternatively, if you would like to utilise the chat function, please feel free to put any questions or comments in the chat. Okay, so I shall move on to the agenda. So the purpose of today is that we're hoping to provide you with an update on our 2020-21 ICE work plan for distributed generation at low voltage. And as part of that work plan and the commitments that we made for this year, we're going to provide you with an update on our zero carbon plan and where we're up to with that. So we've got some guest presenters today to provide you with those updates. We're also going to provide you with an update on our transition to DSO. So we have another guest that I will go through who they are in a few minutes. And the accelerated loss of mains change programme, we're just going to give you an update on that and the new Windows 7 that's open and provide you with some information. Flexible connections, just a very brief overview of the flexible connections that are available, and happy to take any questions on those. And then just generally what we've been up to in terms of the commitments that we made, and just to provide you with an update as we're now in the final quarter of this year. And then moving on to the second half of the session, we will be looking at our future business planning, and in particular our ICE work plan for the new year 2021 to 22, and our forward business planning from 2023 onwards. So we're hoping to get some feedback from you. We'd like you to be open and honest, let us know your thoughts, and that would be great, thank you. And then just to finish, questions and a close off from myself. So as I've already suggested, we've got some guest presenters on the session today. We have obviously myself and Hannah Sharrett from an ICE perspective, and we have Helen Seagrave and Keith Evans. So Helen is our Community and Local Energy Manager, and she will provide you with an update on our zero carbon plan. And then Keith Evans, who's our DSO and Smart Grid Engineering Manager, and Keith will be providing an update on our transition to DSO and flexible connections. We also have on the call Martin Edmondson, who is Head of Business Connections, if you have any questions for Martin, and Brian Hoy, who is Head of Market Regulation, who is usually on all of our sessions if you have any questions for Brian as well. Okay, so without further ado, I'm now going to pass you over to Helen Seagrave, and Helen will be providing us with an update to Go Net Zero. Thank you.
Hi Amy, thank you very much for the introduction. Are you moving through the slides for me?
I will, yes.
Thank you very much. So I think if we can start on our first slide. At the last event, we gave you an overview of our Leading the Northwest to Zero Carbon plan, which sets out our plans and ambitions to decarbonise our own emissions, but also those to help businesses, colleagues and customers to do the same. So for this presentation, I'm going to focus on our Go Net Zero web portal, which has recently been launched and is a source of information to help businesses install low carbon technologies. First of all, I'm going to tell you about our approach and how we've developed the information on the website and the website itself, because we've worked with research partners to do that. And then I'll talk you through the different sections of the website, and then at the end I've got a little bit of the insight from the research that we put together to inform this, which I thought you might be interested to hear. So the information on the website is informed both from research by the Tyndall Centre, who are experts in what you need to do to get to net zero, and then also consumer and behaviour insight research from an organisation called Impact Research, who are used to working with customers and finding out what it is they want to buy and adopt, so both business and sort of commercial customers. The research we did with the Tyndall Centre looked at the top 5 things that businesses can do to decarbonise, so real practical action. And the impact research, like I said, looked at the barriers to the adoptions, particularly of adoption of EVs and PVs, so electric vehicle charging points and solar panels. And we further supplemented that with perceptions from customers about what they thought about businesses who did adopt this technology. So we've got some evidence around what customers think about businesses to adopt this technology, and that tells us that people are willing to pay a little bit more and go and buy or use the services of companies that do adopt these technologies and have a good sustainability credentials. And one of the outcomes of the research, and the whole sort of reason that we're doing this, is that our customers have told us that they see Electricity North West as a source of independent and trusted advice, and they're actually expecting us to provide information in this area to help inform their research when they're sort of looking about what they can do to decarbonise. So therefore we've developed this portal in response to that feedback, but it's just recently been launched. It's an ongoing process, so we are still looking for feedback and user experiences. So the platform itself, as you can see, this is the home page. It's on our website and it splits into 3 main sections. So you and your business, that holds the information about what businesses, what sort of specific top 5 actions high energy using sectors in our region can do to reduce their emission. The Ways to Go Net Zero section sort of explores the different technologies and sort of gives you information there, so that when you sort of know what it is you want to go for, there's more information there to sort of help you work out what to do next. And then our plans to go net zero talk about what we're doing to decarbonise our own emissions, because we want to share our experience as we're going through this journey the same way as other businesses and other stakeholders are around the region. So if we move on to the next slide. The aim of this slide is just to say that we want to get your feedback. So I think that's a theme for this meeting. As part of putting the website together, we have done some user testing, but we still want to know what people think. So during lockdown, we did get some people to come along to the website and test it by completing a short survey about what they think, and actually sort of going through and trying to sort of almost to break it and to try and make sure that if they were a customer, put themselves in the customer's shoes, could they get the information out of it that they wanted. So as you can see, we have got some good feedback, but it's a new website. We've just launched it. So if anybody attending this event today would like to give us some more feedback, that would be gratefully received. And then on the next slide, you can see this is the research from the Tyndall Centre that focuses on the top 5 things businesses can do now to decarbonise, and we've focused this on sectors that are prevalent in the Northwest and are high energy using, and the actions are very practical and like I said, based in the science. They will reduce carbon emissions, and they're things that you can do now. So that in essence is what's on the website. It's a portal, it's there for anybody to use. And then in the next section of the presentation, I thought it might be interesting, you might be interested to hear what the research told us about the barriers that businesses are facing to the adoption of solar panels and EV charging points, and particularly focused at big businesses. So the first slide here looks at solar panels, PV, and this is based on the research that Impact Research did with us, and they did a number of qualitative interviews as well as with the sort of the managers within 19 large businesses, as well as going out and talking to the colleagues and sort of staff of those businesses. And for both the EV and the PV technologies, around a quarter of the organisations interviewed had already installed the technology. Around half had thought about it but not done anything about it yet, and a quarter had not looked into it at all. So sort of a range of views were used to compile this information. And as you can see here, probably if you work in this sector and if you deal with businesses with these looking to install these technologies, this probably won't tell you anything you don't already know. But as you can see here, there are a number of either real or perceived barriers that businesses are facing when they're looking at putting solar panels on their roof. So planning, not sure where to go for information. If they rent, do they need their landlord consent? Will the landlord give them the consent? Concerns about the costs of roof infrastructure, or if the roof needs updating, is it going to bring those costs forwards? Uncertainty over financing and not quite sure about what the return on investment is. But as you can see from the businesses that we surveyed, there are a number of benefits. So the return on investment is expected to be between 5 and 7 years. It does not only counter the cost of rising electricity, but it gives you a predictable cost of electricity over a period of time. Because you know where, at least a portion of your supply, you know where it's coming from, and you can enter into a long, and you know how much it's going to cost you for the next 20, 25, 30 years. And it obviously enhances your environmental reputation and just your reputation in general, which gives rise to opportunities for PR, promotion, that kind of thing. And if we move on to the next slide, you can see that the same is true for electric vehicle charging points. Not sure where to go for information might trigger network reinforcement costs. So lack of awareness about how they're going to be used, who wants to use them, how do you allocate them to your staff. But those businesses that have done it have found that there are strong benefits for doing that. It supports any cultural change you want to make within your business to decarbonise. Once they're installed, it does provide a cheaper form of business mileage. And has, again, reputational PR benefits, those kind of benefits. So that's what our research showed us. Again, happy to hear of other people's insights, anything that can help supplement that. But I thought you might be interested to hear a bit more about that today. And then I think our last slide just gives you our web address and just asks you, if you do go on and have a look around it, and you've got any feedback about the accessibility or the information on there, then please do let me know. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you, Helen.
Should take silence as a good response.
Yeah, I don't think we've got any in the chat at the moment, but if we do have any questions for Helen, Helen will be still joining us for the rest of the presentation. Yes. So please feel free to either pop them in the chat, or we'll have another break in a few minutes after the DSO if there's anything that you'd like to come back to. Thank you, Helen.
Right, thanks a lot.
Okay. So the next part of the presentation is going to be delivered by Keith Evans, who is our Smart Grid and DSO Transition Manager, and Keith is going to give you an update based on the commitment that we made to you in this year's work plan, which was to keep stakeholders informed on the transition to DSO and the functionality that's associated with that. So I will now pass you over to Keith. Thank you.
Hello, so I'm Keith Evans. I'm the DSO Transition and Smart Grid Engineering Manager. So I'm going to talk to you about our transition to distribution system operation, which has been ongoing for quite a number of years now, and we've pledged that we will keep you updated on this. So the reason why we're doing DSO in the first place is it offers an improved customer experience through sharing of best practice with the rest of the electricity and other industries. It provides efficiency savings by utilising the network more. We can provide whole system investment benefits by working together and looking at if there is a whole system improvement that we can provide, instead of just kind of working in silos as we may have historically done. It facilitates the transition to the low carbon economy, which is obviously what a lot of people on this call are here for, is how do we actually connect more low carbon technology to the network. It increases the flexibility that we can offer both to the network but also to our customers. So it allows customers to choose the terms of their connection more, and it allows us to use that inherent flexibility within the network to mean that we can utilize the network more efficiently. And it also allows us increased productivity, so we can keep the same number of staff or even kind of reduce the number of staff it takes to facilitate a lot of these developments through automation and other such tools. So what have we done so far? So in May 2020, we launched 3 consultations that were related to our DSO strategy, and in February we relaunched those strategies for a further consultation to gain your views. That consultation is just closed, so we're just doing the final updates to those strategies before they're republished, and these provide us the feedback for our next price control review. So this was our opportunity to tell you what we're doing in terms of DSO and to kind of give you a better idea of a more in-depth view of where we believe we're going to go in the future. So we've got our DSO strategy, our analysis of DSO functions, and the grid digitalisation and data strategy that are still available on the website if anyone wants to have a look at them, and we're still open to feedback if anyone has any on those documents. We've also, on a regular basis, annually we update our distribution future electricity scenarios documents, which give you the regional insights into where we believe that the demand and generation hotspots will occur on the network, and that might give you a better idea of kind of where things may be required in the future. We've got our heat mapping tools, which we've developed and updated, and they're regularly updated. So they give you the capacity to see at this present time where there is capacity left on the network or where there may be some constraints on the network. And again, that gives you an idea of where it's best to get a connection. We offer flexible services. So this is our opportunity to try and buy services from the market to prevent us from having to reinforce the network. So this is a perfect opportunity for generators wanting to get a bit of extra revenue into their business case, that they can offer us a flexible service to offset some of the demand that we've got connected to the network. And the final one to highlight is the carbon plan, which Helen has just been speaking about some of the stuff that goes with that, and that just sets out how we intend to lead the Northwest to net zero carbon. We are an active member of the Open Networks project. So this is the project that has all the network operators, the National Grid, Ofgem Bays, and the Energy Networks Association, and we could come together to collaborate on how it's best to transition to distribution system operation. And one of the things that we've produced with that within the last year, and it's just in the process of being updated, is the DSO implementation plan. So that sets out a roadmap of where all the different networks are up to in their transitions. And again, it kind of gives you an idea of where we're going in the future. Now, the Open Networks project also, so just to kind of highlight some of the things that we've done so far, we've standardized flexible services agreements and product naming. We have developed a joint future energy scenarios methodology, and we've developed and consulted on new interactivity and queue management processes, and develop the heat mapping tools. So we're doing quite a lot of industry standardization to try and give stakeholders that consistent view wherever they are within the UK trying to connect to the network, and to try and give them the best user experience possible. Some highlights of what we're currently working on. So we're working on systems to manage our power flows. So we've got an active network management system that we're currently developing. So that automates some of the control processes that we currently would be done manually. And going forwards, there's a requirement to automate some of these processes just because of the sheer amount of data that's being considered. We're establishing a neutral market trading system. So that would allow us to trade with flexible service providers, but also will actually allow them to bilaterally trade with each other. We'll be establishing the processes within our control rooms, the policies and procedures, and then we're also continuing to develop the range of connections options that we have, continuing to publish our heat maps and DFARS and flexible service requirements, developing enhanced modelling tools, which again should help speed up the connections processes, and finally reducing our own emissions and encouraging others to do the same. So I'm now going to talk to you about flexible connections. So flexible connections are they're a way of having a little bit more flexibility within the options that we offer you. So at the moment, many people connecting to the network will already be aware of our system normal connections. So this says that during a first circuit outage, that we will install equipment on site, which means that we can disconnect the site or constrain it down to a specific level to allow us to keep the network running securely. The other type of connection that we currently offer is export limited devices. So these are sites where we'll agree that actually they won't export their full generation capacity that they have installed on site, and they can use an export limiting device to carry that out. The future of flexible connections, which we're currently looking to trial, are timed connections. So this would be your capacity is restricted during certain periods of time or dates. We're also looking at import limited connections, which are very similar to export limited, but they're very useful for sites which may have things like electric vehicle smart charging. And then we're finally developing this active network management system, which will facilitate a lot more control of all the different types of flexibility we have connected to the network, and will allow us to run the network a lot more efficiently. So as I say, we are currently looking at trial sites for the final 3 options, and our designers will keep an eye out, and if your site looks like it may be suitable, then you may be approached to see if you'd be willing to participate in one of these trials. If you are interested, then please feel free to get in contact with us and we can talk you through those a little bit further. And the final topic that I'm going to talk to you about is our accelerated loss of mains change program. Any generators that were connected pre February 2018 that were connected under G59, there's currently a program of work to go around and look to see if the loss of mains protection settings that were installed contained either rock off or vector shift, and if they did, then the settings need to be updated to the current G59 settings, which removes removes vector shift completely, and it changes the rock off setting to 1 Hertz per second with a 500 millisecond time delay. If you know of any sites that haven't already gone through this process, then I would strongly suggest that you get them into the program, because currently the program is providing funding for the change of these protection settings, but as of September 2022, there will be a requirement that the settings must have been changed, at which point the funding is likely to end completely. Currently we've got Windows 7 open, which is open till the 11th of May. And if you're interested in learning anything more, then please feel free to go to our website. or speak to us about this. Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you, Keith. Do we have any questions on any of the updates that Keith provided? DSO or accelerated loss of mains, flexible connections?
I think the hi, Andy Cole from Power and Energy Limited. I think the flexible connections thing is really interesting to us. Quite a few of our customers are fairly large agricultural kind of owners and not so many tenants, so actually that makes the connection process a fair bit easier. But a lot of them are at the end of fairly small lines or where the grid is already reasonably stressed. So potentially peak shaving using a flexible connection kind of model would be really useful. I think that's the trial I'd be really interested to get involved with, actually. Sounds like a really good system, actually. Somewhere we can help you, and it's a bit more advisory from your side that we need this and we'd like to install this, rather than kind of let's kind of punt out a request and see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes everything a lot
perfect. Better. Yeah, no, I have your details, Andy. So you know, I'll be in touch. But Keith, do you have anything you'd like to comment on that, or?
No, I think yeah, if we take your details, and we're happy to speak to you after the meeting about any sites that you think may be eligible. That would be really good.
Yeah, great. There's quite a lot of kind of forward-thinking farmers, and that's it's a really exciting space for them.
Yeah, I think the key thing is that at the moment, as I say, they are a lot of the three bottom options were in trial, so there is an element of the we're learning as we're going, and so there will need to be a bit of kind of time and kind of relaxation on both sides about the fact that these won't be kind of following the standard kind of connections timescales at the moment.
I think that's the same with a lot of emerging technology, but I know that these guys are planning to diversify their business, and so that's really exciting for them as well, because it's kind of a bit of a growth thing. What can you offer? What can what do they have space for? So I think that's very workable. It's very exciting anyway. Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, so Keith obviously will be around for the rest of the presentation, so if there are any questions for Keith, please feel free at the end to ask Keith any questions. So just finally, the first part of the presentation, to bring it to a close, I'm going to provide you with an update on our work plan for 2020-21 now that we're in the final quarter, just in terms of the other commitments that we made to you as distribution generation low voltage stakeholders this year. So in front of you, you may have seen our work plans before and been involved in reviewing these throughout the past 12 months. But just a very brief update from me as to where we're up to as we sort of close off the year. A majority of the commitments are now complete, which is great news. We've had, various webinars over the year where we've updated you in terms of some of the commitments, for example, the G98-99 requirements. We've done a couple of webinars on those, and in particular an event that we held in January of this year, which is now available for you to view, and please feel free to contact me if you would like a copy of the presentation for that. It's very helpful. In terms of the rest of the commitments, you may or may not have taken part in our network asset viewer training that we delivered in May of last year. That's been up and running for some time now, and the training material is available on our website. If you'd like any further assistance with that, then likewise, please just get in touch with me and I can certainly assist with that as well. In terms of all of our other commitments, we've obviously provided you with some updates today, and we've as I say, we've done that over the year. Keith has just completed his second update on the transition to DSO, which is obviously going to follow us into next year as well. So there'll be plenty more updates in terms of that to share with you. For our regulatory standards in terms of time to quote, we had a stretch target of 22 days this year. We're currently just a day behind of that stretch target, but it's still something that we're celebrating in comparison to the guaranteed standards of 35 days. We'll hopefully be able to pull that back in the final month. And then in terms of our time to connect, we haven't as yet completed any on-site works for DGLV connections that E&W have taken part in, so we're unable to report on that as yet. And then just on our business as usual commitments, we have updated you throughout the year via our newsletters. There's a final newsletter that's to come in the next couple of weeks, so we'll share with you some final thoughts on the year in that, if you keep your eye out for it. And community and local energy, obviously we've been joined by Helen today, and Helen will be supporting as well over the next 12 months to provide more updates in this area, which I know a lot of you are particularly interested in. So that's it from me really in terms of this year's work plan. Excuse me. If you do have any comments, or there's anything in particular that you'd like to cover or you've missed over the last 12 months, then please feel free to contact me direct. I think that you probably will have my contact details. Alternatively, you can reach Hannah or myself at the ICE mailbox, which is ice@enwl.co.uk, and we'd love to hear your feedback as well, and any thoughts in terms of this year's work plan as well, once we go through that with you in the next part of the session. So I will now pass over to Hannah, who is going to provide you on an update in terms of our future business planning for our ICE work plan, in particular for the next year, and obviously we want to hear your thoughts on this, so please feel free to unmute yourself at any point during the session if you'd like to comment. We're also going to utilise some breakout rooms. They are anything that we discuss in the breakout rooms will just be between yourselves and E&W staff, so we would really appreciate your honest thoughts and feedback on what our plans are for the next sort of as we head towards the next price control period, and then the breakout rooms are not recorded, so please feel free to go on camera and as I say, provide some feedback. So I'll now pass you over to Hannah. Thank you.
Good afternoon everyone, welcome. And first off, I just want to double check, can everyone see this screen? We've handed over screen sharing. You can give me a thumbs up. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect, thank you. So this second half of the session is I guess a little bit more emphasis on getting your thoughts and your comments. So I will be, just give you a heads up, I will be asking questions and asking for your feedback. As Amy mentioned, we will have a section where we'll drop into breakout rooms to give you a chance to talk within a small group and let us know kind of what your thoughts are. So the second half of today's event is really looking at our sort of future business plans. And first off, looking specifically at our ICE work plans for next year. So ICE, and for those who perhaps aren't so familiar with the terminology, is about connections engagement. So it's all about making sure that we are talking to our connection stakeholders, listening to your feedback and putting together work plans to describe how we are going to address some of the things that we're hearing about from our stakeholders. So it's all about making sure we're continuously improving the service that we provide for connections. So each year we go through a process of developing our next year's list of commitments. And today I'm going to share with you what our draft plan for next year is, talk you through what those commitments are. But I'd really like to hear your thoughts on whether they're the right commitments, whether there's anything missing, and any other sort of comments or feedback that you might have. So we go through an iterative process. We pull together a list of commitments, and that's based initially on feedback that we've received throughout the year. We also look at our commitments of the current year and look to see whether it's relevant to continue those or to develop them further in next year. And we also look at across the industry to see if there's anything happening in the electricity industry that is relevant and useful, and we should include it in the coming work plan. We will then share that with our stakeholders, and we will put it out for surveys, and we'll encourage people to comment, and we'll review those comments, refine it, issue them again, and we'll go through a bit of an iterative process to make sure that we end up with a list of commitments that are driven by what our stakeholders are telling us, and will ultimately improve the service that we provide for yourselves. So on screen we have a list of commitments for next year that we've pulled together. As I say, I'm looking for any comments that you have. Are they the right commitments, and have we missed anything? So some of them are a continuation of this year, so you'll recognise some from the overview that Amy's just given us. Ensuring we maintain high customer satisfaction, that goes without saying, that's going to continue. The keeping you informed about distribution system operation, which Keith was describing earlier, that's an ongoing programme of work and an evolution of us as a business. So that again will continue into next year, and we'll make sure that we're keeping everybody updated on how that's going and what it means to you. In terms of what's happening in the industry, there was a significant code review from Ofgem that was due to happen this year. That's now been deferred into next year, so that makes sense to carry that over, and we will commit to keeping you updated on what comes out of that code review. We have a few business as usual commitments in terms of offering events like today. So we are committing to do a minimum of 3 engagement opportunities using webinars and workshops to make sure that we are either providing you with updates or giving you a chance to talk to us about specific topics, and just making sure that we keep that engagement ongoing. We also offer surgery sessions, so if you want to talk through any particular projects, we offer a one-to-one session that we can arrange, and we are this year targeting that we will hold those within 10 working days, or we will certainly offer them. Obviously depends on people's calendars, and we'll continue to keep you updated. Helen Seagrave will also hold specific engagement opportunities for the community and local energy groups. And time to quote, that's a key performance indicator that we are committing to continue to do within 22 days. And we also will continue to keep you updated on our Leading the Northwest to Zero Carbon. So, any comments? I'm happy for you to either unmute and shout out, or if you prefer, stick something in the chat or raise your hand.
Hi Hannah, it's Catherine here from Eco2 Solar.
Hi,
so yeah, hi, we deal with the team, so we are a solar PV installer, but dealing with applications on behalf of our customers who are the big house building developers. And you know, we've certainly seen an improvement in the quotes that have been coming through to us, or you know, our applications for connections, etc. So that's been really good. And you know, compared to some of the other DNOs, we've certainly had a lot of feedback from ENWL, which is really good. we're finding now that we're ending up dealing with a lot of the homeowners who are applying for the Smart Export Guarantee. And they are now being driven by the utility companies to go and get more and more information to allow them to set up their export guarantees. And that's not something that we've seen necessarily from the DNOs in the past, with sort of confirmation of or acknowledgement of acceptance on a plot by plot basis when we submit commissioning documents for G98s. I don't know if that's something that that's planning to change, etc., as part of your process. It's much more of an admin query compared to sort of some of your big commitments that you've got on there, but it's something that actually will make a big difference to the work that we have to do.
Okay. I might need to pick up with you just to hear a little bit more in terms of the detail of what it is you're now facing, and actually how we can kind of help you through that process.
Yeah, sure.
That would be useful if you've perhaps got time afterwards, or we can arrange another time, if that'd be great.
Yeah, no problem. Are you the best contact for that, Hannah?
Yes, and if we need somebody else, I'll arrange for them to join us. That'd be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. All right, no problem. Thank you.
Catherine, it's Amy. I'll drop you a quick email, or if you're able to hang around after the session, and we'll certainly arrange something for you.
Yeah, that would be useful. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Any other comments?